sorry, I need to record before I forget. You can always purchase stuff like this, additional stuff. You cannot achieve Success Club by purchasing a limited edition because it is not available on HD. So please make sure if you are getting this, this is an awesome time to utilize a controlled account, a spouse account to boost that volume for extra cycles if you are Emerald and above. Last thing, next Tuesday, the 16th, we will be having a coach info Zoom. So we're kind of going with this whole flip-flop of 1 month we're doing a Zoom. The next month we're going to do like the Facebook group. So if you noticed in February, we did the Facebook group for a few days. So this month we're going to go back to the Zoom. So be promoting that this week, be sharing about the community, be talking about coaching, whether you're brand new or not, you can share coaching with other people. So get them on this call. It will be Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. I will share the link and everything into the team page later this week. So be sharing that with people. Cool. Okay. I think that's all the announcements. All right. So as far as the call tonight, we're going to jump right in with Megan. We are excited to have her. So tonight is our kind of new coach startup, sharing just some tips for you guys that are new. So let me find my notes really quick and we will get started. While I'm finding that, we're going to have Megan, who is one of Kayla's coaches on, and when did you start coaching, Megan?
December 7th, I think, something like that.
Yeah, so she's pretty new to coaching, still within her first few months. So go ahead, Megan, and kind of share like your background, like what you do, where you came from, how you found Beachbody, how you got into coaching, and all of that with everyone.
So my name's Megan, if you don't know me, and I'm 28. I am a Division I athletic trainer at St. John's in New York. I grew up as a gymnast, so I was always into sports and fitness, and I got injured, had surgery, and I never went back to the sport. But I was always into, getting healthy, staying fit. So I was going to the gym here and there. I was running a lot. I used to run like 6 miles a day, like ridiculous. And then my mom started doing Beachbody coaching like 4 years ago. And that's how I kind of heard about Beachbody. She lost like an insane amount of weight doing 21-day fix. And I was like, wow, that's great. But like, honestly, I didn't think the programs would be something I would even go for. I just didn't know what they were about. And then when was it? Maybe after she lost all that weight, like maybe a year ago, I was like, all right, like, let me try something out. I didn't want to go to the gym that day. So I tried one of the workouts and I was like, oh, okay, this could be something I could actually do. And then it wasn't until like quarantine that I actually was like, all right, let me actually do one program, because I was actually a coach under her. I was kind of her controlled account. So I didn't really do anything with coaching. I didn't know what she was using my account for. I was just basically her controlled account. So I said, all right, let me go on her account. I'll do a program. So I think the one that I did like from start to finish the first time was 10 rounds. And I was like, okay, I really like this. And then in quarantine, like I wasn't going to the gym, I wasn't working, so I needed something to do. So then I went into, I think it was like 80-day obsession. And then I think that was like my soulmate program. I fell in love with it. And then Kate reached out here and there and she was like, I want you on my team. I want you on my team. I was like, yeah, like I have been doing these programs before. But like I actually wanted to be a part of group because I wasn't in my mom's group. Like I wasn't a part of her like coaching group at all. So finally Kayla was like, all right, let's do it. So I was like, yeah, I mean, why not? So I kind of just jumped in and went for it.
Love it. Awesome. And yeah, so I was going to say, like, how long did you watch or tell your coach no before getting started? But obviously your situation is kind of unique. Like you kind of like knew about coaching for a long time, obviously with your mom.
I did.
But how many times do you think like Kayla reached out and you were kind of like, no, before you finally decided to dive in?
Kayla reached out like 2 or 3 times. I was like, yeah, I'm busy. Like, the normal things that everyone says to us. And at first I was like, I am not doing this. Like, I don't share anything on social media. I don't share my life. Like, I don't ever, like, I work out so much, but I don't post my workouts, you know? And it was just something where I kind of was like, you know what, let me do it. Like, I've gotten so much, you know, positive results out of like doing these programs, and I fell in love with all the supplements and the workouts. So like, why not share that with everyone, and especially like my friends? This has allowed me to reconnect with so many friends from college, like high school, you know, and now they're, you know, doing this with me. And that's kind of like the best part about it. And I can see, you know, their journey, and I mean, it's worth it to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I think it's just interesting to always say like how many times we kind of turn down our coaches because we all did it, right? And we all get it all the time. And we are like, we get discouraged a lot of times by rejection. And so it's just important to remind everyone that we all were that person. So, and
Hmm.
then, you know, once we do get started or right before we decide to commit to this, there's always those hesitations and those fears and everything that we hope won't hold us back, but sometimes it does for our potentials, right? So, as like a person coming into this and deciding that you wanted to coach, like what do you feel like were your main hesitations or fears that could have or almost held you back from like really diving in?
I was nervous about like not being able to put in the time for it just with my job, but as soon as I started, I was like, no, like this could be something. Like, I can actually do something with this, and I fell in love with it from like the first couple weeks. So like, I'm gonna make the time. Like, that's the thing. Like, everyone is busy. I get it. Like, we all have full-time jobs, but you know, if this thing you're passionate about, then you will make the time for it. I think like my fears were, you know, no one was going to join me. I really wouldn't get anyone involved, or I didn't want to post so much on social media. So like, I would have to, you know, invite more, and then inviting, I was hesitant about it first. Now I'm like, you know, no, if people say no, they're going to say no. Like, we get it all the time. And I'm just now getting people from like December saying like, okay, like I kind of want to start now, you know. So it is worth it to just keep putting yourself out there and be consistent. I think being consistent was like my main priority throughout this whole journey so far.
Love that. So you mentioned like one of your big hesitations was obviously time and commitment and being busy. So for those of you who don't know, my husband is an athletic trainer, so I understand. He literally left 4 minutes after we walked in from the hospital with Quinn. So like I get the job and it doesn't really ever stop, right? So you work with, what sport are you with at?
I'm with men's soccer, softball, men's tennis, and fencing.
Okay. So for those of you who don't know, she's at practices before and after practice, traveling with the teams, all of this different stuff.
Yeah.
So just like she said, we're all busy, but I mean, you could argue she has one of the most time consuming and really draining, just like those of you who are teachers or nurses that are constantly caring for others. And it's hard because you're caring for adults that most of the time act like children, right? College
Yeah.
students. So how do you feel like what do you feel like, especially as a new coach? We teach people like, hey, you can make this work with any schedule. And I think a lot of times people look at me or they look at Kayla and they look at really successful coaches. They're like, I don't have time for that because I work, you know, sometimes between 2 to 5 hours a day, depending on what I need to
Yeah.
get done and all that. So for me, my load is a little bit different, but as a brand new coach, it shouldn't be, right? So how do you feel like what does your schedule look like in terms of getting your workout done, getting your power hour in, sending those invites, like kind of what is a typical
So
day?
I was done in the morning. Um, you know, after a long day at work, and sometimes I don't even know what time I'm getting home. Like, it's just hard for me to get home, and you know, I'm hungry by that point, so I want to eat, and then by the time I get home, I just don't want to work out. So I get my workouts done early in the morning, and that kind of just like sets me up for the day. I feel so much better. And then my power hours are usually when I get home. Like, I'll eat, relax, and then I spend at least like an hour, maybe like 3 or 4 times a week, just inviting, following up, like sending out emails. and kind of working on my business. And that it's been good. And then, like, for an example, I traveled yesterday with the men's soccer team, and I had like 3 hours to spare on the bus, and I did a ton of inviting, a ton of following up. So like I make the time. You just got to make the time. That's all.
Yeah, and that's important to mention too, because we say power hour every day, and that's good. And you want to be consistent, and you need to be doing something for your business every single day, whether that's your workout and being consistent and showing up on your stories and posting. But sometimes it's not always send 20 invites every single day. Because I was the same when I first started coaching. I served in a restaurant. So, there were some days on the weekends when I would work a 12-hour shift. And so you want to utilize those days where you're maybe not as busy, or you do have the time when you're sitting on a bus and you have nothing else to do, right? Like, yeah, it's so easy to pop in headphones and drain everything out and watch Netflix, or you can pour into your business and spend those 3 hours doing it, because maybe the day before, like say you didn't know what time you got home, and you got home at 10 p.m. and you just physically didn't have it in you to send an invite that night. So I think that's really important to note, especially as a new coach. Like, yes, we preach consistency. Yes, you need to be doing something for your business every day, but it doesn't always have to be the exact same things every day. Like, utilize your time and know your schedule a little bit so that you can work with that. Yeah. So you mentioned obviously inviting and sending your follow-ups and being consistent, which is so important. And you said just showing up on social. When you first started, what do you feel like, as you started posting and as you started getting into your workouts, like what did your invites kind of look like? Like, and even still now, like, do you feel like give an example of kind of how you're reaching out to people, how you feel like, especially in the beginning when this was brand new to you, like how were you engaging with people to try and get them interested in joining you?
So I think the first month, like as soon as I started posting, like even my coming out post, because I post about 9-week control freak that I was starting, that's when I got a lot of messages and a lot of interest. So it was kind of like, I wouldn't say it was easy, but like I was getting people coming to me. And then I think the next month was kind of like a big wake up call, because I was still posting, and putting myself out there, but like no one was coming to me that month. So I sat down and I was like, okay, like no one's just going to come to me. It's not going to be that easy. Like I have to really put myself out there and start inviting. So I honestly started with, like I said, like high school friends, college friends. And I was like, hey, listen, I know you love to work out too. I've been doing these home workout programs. They've been amazing. Like, this would be fun to do together. Like, would you want to join me, or do you have any interest in joining me? And it helped. Like, I've helped a bunch of my friends get back onto their health and fitness journey. I've had friends that loved going to the gym all the time, doing 9-week control freak, and then, signing up as a coach for her now. So, I mean, reach out to the people that you would want to do this with. I think that it was fun for me to reach out to my friends that I haven't reconnected with in a long time. And now we're, closer than ever, getting healthy together.
Yeah, I love that. And that's what I always say, like, start with those people, like make a list of people that you, like if you were about to go to the gym or you would want to do something with, even if it's not fitness, if you're like,
Who would that be?
I was going to go get
Yeah.
ice cream, like who would I invite to go do
Yeah.
this with me, or whatever
Exactly.
the scenario. So think about those people,
Exactly.
write them down. And then, like you said, you're doing something new. So it's really easy to just say, I've been enjoying this. Like, would you be interested? It doesn't like have to be scary. It doesn't have to be like some scripted out, hi, I'm doing this program called 9-Week Control Freak,
Yeah.
because those are the messages that when you get them in your inbox, you're like, ew, I haven't talked to this person in forever. Why is she messaging me this?
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't talked to someone in a while, make it something relatable. Like, hey, I know like we haven't chatted in a while, like, but I thought about you when I was thinking about people I wanted to do this program with, which is the complete truth, right? Like if you thought about them and their name went on that list.
That's what I know. Yeah.
That's what
Like
happened.
I wrote like that person's name down for a reason. I'm not just inviting this person to invite this, person. I'm inviting a person that I think would want to do this with me and would enjoy it.
Yes, exactly. That's so good. So how do you feel like, and I think I loved, just side note, I love that you touched on in the beginning, people came to you, right? Because you did that coming out post, you started sharing workouts. So people are like, oh, what's she doing? And they get curious. And I think that's so common for new coaches, is it's simpler in the beginning. You're not having to do the scary things, and you're not having to do the invites because maybe people are coming to you. And so what happens is, like you said, by month 2, month 3, you're like, oh crap, like I have to actually work this business. So sometimes it can be that like reverse, where by month 3 you're kind of like, well, maybe I don't want to do this because I don't want to work, versus some people who have to work right from the beginning at it and remember that this is a job. Like, it's easy things that we do. And like you said, like you have to get over that fear of inviting and knowing that, yeah, people are going to tell you no, but like you have to work your business and you have to put in that time, and you do have to send those invites. So I think that was a good thing to touch on.
Yeah.
What do you feel like how do you handle the rejection when people, because I know especially as a new coach, that's really hard. You're like scared, you're sending these invites, and then people ghost you, they don't respond, they tell you no. Like, how do you feel like you've gotten over that to keep doing this and keep showing up and keep inviting?
Yeah. At first I was like, okay, like in my mind I was like, I know I'm gonna get no's, like, and it sucks to hear at first, and it still sucks to get a no. But if anything, it kind of like drives me forward and like pushes me forward to just keep going, because it might not be a no, 2 or 3 months from now. That person might still be following your journey, and that no might turn into a yes, a couple months later. And that's kind of like what I'm seeing now. But I would say, like, as a new coach, don't let that no kind of push you back. If anything, just let it kind of push you forward and keep going and being consistent, because that no doesn't mean no like forever.
Yeah, I agree. And we'll go back to the chat like at the end too. So what do you feel like, if you could really give like new coaches any advice on just like getting started, like, because a lot of times too, sometimes the start scares people, right? Like we get overwhelmed, and then we see like all that we should be doing. We're like, okay, I should be posting my workouts, I should be posting on my feed, I need to be inviting, I need to be connecting, I need to, like, it's so much. So what do you feel like, if you could pick just a couple of things to tell new coaches, like, when you get started, this is what I did that I felt like really propelled me forward, these few things to not overwhelm them, like, what would you say those are?
I would say just work on like yourself first. Like, even some of like my posts were just not even like inviting on my posts. It was just what I was doing like for myself. So like work on yourself first, just be yourself, and then just be consistent.
Yeah, I love that, because like the inviting part is so important. But where do you, like, especially if you've gone through that list of people, like I always tell people, then you're going to who's liking your posts, who's watching your stories, and you're inviting from there. So if you're not doing those things, then you're feeling like, well, who do I have to invite, right? So I think that's really important, like just showing up and being consistent and working on yourselves. That's the bottom line of our business is.
Yeah. If you post like exactly what you're doing for yourself, instead of just being like, hey, come do this program with me, like, and inviting all the time, people are gonna be like, oh no. Like, if they see you working on yourself consistently over a long period of time, that's when I see people kind of coming to me and wanting to do this for themselves, because I was working on myself.
Yeah. So for new coaches who are like, well, I don't have anything to post, like, I feel like I don't have anything to share, like, what would you say to that?
That's literally how I felt. I still sometimes I'm like, what do I post? What do I post? But like, I mean, just post, what you like, be yourself, your interests, what you like doing, for workouts. Post like, I don't know, what you're eating sometimes, just to show that you're working on you.
Yeah, agree. I think so many people overcomplicate it, and like you have to remember too, the coaches, whoever you follow, like we all follow people that we look up to, right? Like everyone has someone that they look up to. I do. I follow people, and I'll see posts and I'm like, oh my gosh, that post is so good, right? Like we all do that. And we're like, oh, she just has such a way with words, and like, like I want my post to be like that, right? But you have to remember that comes with time. It comes with practice. So if you don't start posting, like you said, throw up a recipe that's like, hey, I made this taco bowl. It was really freaking good. Just wanted to
Yeah.
share it. Like if that's your post for the day, every post is going to get you that much closer to like finding your voice and figuring out how to say what you like want to say. And for some people it is like cut, dry, straightforward. You have to remember your own personality. You want to be authentic to yourself. But if you're not posting and showing up every day, you're not going to get better at.
Oh, she froze.
I froze. Yeah. Can you hear me now? Am I there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like if you're not starting somewhere and you're
Yeah,
not
you're good.
posting, then you're not going to be able to then perfect and get better and make those really well-crafted, thought out posts. So like you have to start, just like you said, with and the easiest way to start is your own journey. So your personal development, a quote that you got from the workout you did, a sweaty selfie, all of those different things, sharing those. So I'm like going in and out majorly. Can you all still hear me though? Okay.
Yeah, you just went
Okay.
in and out, but I can hear you.
Cool. Okay, well, that's really like all the questions. I feel like you just like rocked that. That's really all the questions that I have, unless you have like something else that you're like, I really want to share this, advice, tips, anything like you can think of for new coaches, and then we'll let people like go in the chat with questions.
Yeah, I just think like don't be scared to like just jump into it. I mean, I was hesitant at first, but once you start doing this for yourself, it's going to be so much easier to share your journey and do what you want to do for this business.
Awesome. Yeah, so if you all have, that was so good, Megan. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
If you all have any questions, I know, there's not a ton of new coaches, but if you like, remember this is being recorded so we can all share with our new coaches on here too. So if you guys have any questions that you want to go over, or for Megan specifically, drop them in the chat. But I know Cassie was saying you haven't really had anyone come to you yet, and you don't feel like you have enough followers to keep inviting. So it's like one or the other. Either you have people coming to you in the beginning and then you're going to hit that 3-month slump like I was kind of talking about, of like, why is no one coming to me? I have to actually work this business. And sometimes I think that's harder than not having anyone come to you at all, because you start hustling and working right from the beginning and you understand what it takes. So I would try just not to get frustrated and know it's completely normal, but you have people to invite. Like all of us have a ton of people. And sometimes in the beginning, it's easier, I think it was, to go to Facebook for those first invites, because those are the people who already know you. And think of how many friends you have on Facebook, probably hundreds. So, if you feel like you don't have people to invite, like you do, they're there. You just have to be bold enough to invite them. Would you agree, Megan?
Funny you said that. Yeah, funny you said that, because I was so focused on Instagram for so long. And I was like talking to Joe about it. I was like, I'm just focusing on Instagram. I was like, why don't I just go to Facebook? Like, I have so many more friends on Facebook. And I'm like, because it's just old friends, like college friends, like so many other people. I get a whole new variety of people to like invite. So yeah, great idea.
Yeah, and especially like I mean, you said you're 28, right? I'm 29.
Mm-hmm.
So like we were the Facebook generation, right? So like
Yeah.
that, I didn't even have an Instagram until my senior year of college. So I just looked, I have 4,300 friends on Facebook. And now my Instagram has grown a ton since I've started coaching. But when I started coaching, I had like 200 followers on Instagram versus my probably at the time 3,000-ish friends on Facebook, because that's our generation. Your high school, your
Yeah.
college, so it's a great place, especially for us that are around this age and that grew up kind of in Facebook first, to go. And like I said, that's really your warm market already. So yes, for some, like, you're going to get hate from people that are like, oh, you haven't talked to me in 7 years and you reached out to me, but they know what you're doing, they know what you're about, so it's a lot easier to invite those people. So yeah.
And I've noticed people like on Facebook or watching my stories, like the same people have been watching them. And I keep forgetting that like once I post something on Instagram story, it automatically goes to Facebook story. And that's how I'm like looking like, oh, like this person has, watched all my stories. and like, okay, let me sit and reach out to them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what, don't be afraid to try both. Like for us, like I worked my business 90% Facebook, 10% Instagram in the beginning. And now that's completely flopped.
Yeah.
But, use Instagram to continue to post and be on stories and connect. And then use Facebook for invites. That's an easy way to kind of break it up. You do your main bulk of invites, use Facebook for that, but then spend 10 minutes and go and connect with new people on Instagram. So that way, once you've kind of hit all those people on Facebook, now you've made a few connections a day on Instagram. Now you can start moving over there and doing those invites and stuff
Right.
like that. So that's like a good tip I would have for new coaches that do feel like you're kind of, where do I start, especially if you're getting overwhelmed with Instagram? Like, use those connections that you already have on Facebook. Who else? Does anyone else have any questions or anything that you guys want to ask or chat about, or just in general, like new coach stuff and getting started? And anyone? I'm trying to think of other things that I can like talk about like that. Got like 10 more minutes. We can like stay on here and chat. Let's see. Let's talk about, so you were a success starter, right? So what do you feel like that has done in terms of Emerald, success starter? Like, how do you feel like that boosted your confidence in yourself and your business? Like, why would you tell a new coach that those are things that you should really be trying to achieve?
I think it boosted it a lot. It did give me a lot of confidence, but like just getting the opportunity to like be in a test group too, like that's something really cool. And just like getting a few gifts here and there from Beachbody just for literally helping yourself and others, like that's awesome. I didn't even know that I was gonna get any of that stuff either. But you have all these things like goals that you can get once you reach these. So I think that kind of like propels you forward to reach for that.
Yeah, love that. And I think they're definitely something like you want to not get discouraged by as a new coach. If you're like, oh my gosh, I missed that, because it's definitely not like end all be all, but I think it's something that like as a new coach, hitting Success Club right out of the gate and thinking about, it's just 3 people. And do I know 3 people that I really think could benefit from this total solution of a challenge pack? It doesn't mean if someone wants to get started with VOD that you're a failure as a coach, right? Like, oh my gosh, I didn't get Success Club points from that. Like, we're so much more than
Like
points.
if
And,
you're helping someone in any way, then you're good.
right.
Like
Yeah,
that's what you're here for. You're working on yourself and helping others any way you can on their health and fitness journey. Does not always have to be a challenge pack.
exactly. Yeah. But thinking like, okay, if I do, if I think about what hitting Success Club means, it means I'm helping 3 people. That means I'm making
Mm-hmm.
money back more than what I'm spending potentially on my own Shakeology or my own performance stack. So I'm making a profit. And then you think about that next month, if you have even one of those 3 people from month 1 stay on their product, then you get 3 new people. And then the next month, the same thing. So you think about that snowball effect. That's really why, like, we talk about new coaches, like hitting Success Club and aiming to bring in new customers, because it does really build momentum in your business. And then just like you said, it does build that confidence of like, holy crap, I just earned a test group and I earned a hat. Like, am I geeking out over a hat? Like, no, but that's really cool that I just earned something I didn't even know was coming to me. So stuff like that I think is really fun too. So yeah, let's talk about, this is a good question. So we talked about like inviting and posting about your workouts. Like, what do you feel like, especially as you're aiming for Emerald or really wanting to like build your own team? Like, how have you approached people about coaching, especially being so new in the beginning?
That was something that was kind of hard for me, and it's still hard for me. I'm trying to find like my way of inviting to coaching, but I feel like getting challengers under you and then like starting a program and starting the product and going through a full program has helped me like get them into coaching, because that's how I've gotten my coach far. I've had like 2 or 3 friends kind of been like, okay, this actually works. Like, let me try, the coaching route. If this works for me, it can work for other people. But yeah, I wouldn't get like discouraged about asking about coaching. Just put it out there. Just say like, this is what I'm doing, what you love about it and you're passionate about. And it kind of like helps others be like, okay, like maybe I can do this. Maybe this is something that, I can do for me and for others.
And what do you feel like, because I think a huge fear for new coaches especially is like, well, what do I have to offer in terms of like mentoring someone? So how do you feel like leaning into the team and leaning into Purposefully Fit and our team with Positively Fun? Like how can you feel like as a new coach you can confidently tell someone like, hey, like you're joining an awesome squad, like I'm still learning, like how do you feel like that has helped in terms of like being able as a new coach to say like, we're going to figure this out?
I think the group is like amazing. Like you're never, I'm everyone says this, but you're really never alone in the business. Like you always have so many girls to turn to. You have your own coach to turn to. That's why I love the group, because everyone's going to be there for you if you have a question. And I think that helps others say like, okay, like I'm not alone. Like I have other girls that are going through the same thing as me, and we can do this together.
Love that. Love that. Yeah, I think so many people think you have to be so successful before you start inviting. For me, it was almost easier in the beginning because I could just like be flat out and be like, I'm new, I'm trying to figure this out. But then like you're almost doing it together. If you have someone like right in the beginning
Mm-hmm.
that wants to coach with you, you get to figure it out together. And that's something really cool and fun, like I feel like that with Kayla and like with Chelsea, like some of those first coaches that I had, like we got to learn the business together, which I think is what makes our bond so special, because we
Right.
figured it out together. Like it wasn't like, hey, I'm, this diamond, this star, like whatever, and now I'll go do this. Because sometimes it's harder for me now to even relate back to what it was like being a new coach. So when you're right there with them, it's a lot easier sometimes, or not easier, it's just different, but
Yeah.
cool. All right. I'm trying to think. Does anyone else have any questions? Thanks, Cassie, for asking all your good questions. Okay, so we'll wrap up with this. Just share. I love when they share this on the National Wake Up Call, and I know you're still new into it, but I think, just share like how you feel like your life has been like changed and what coaching has like brought to your life and done for your life, even in just the few short months that you've been doing it.
Um, I was, like I said, like I was always into working out, but I haven't been this consistent about something, or like being a part of like a group. I think the group and the community kind of changed it for me, because I can do this alongside friends and make new friends, um, and just do these programs together. And I think the community was the big thing for me that I gained from it.
Love that. Love that. And yeah, the community is seriously the best. And I think we have one of the best in the network. I think it's pretty great. But cool. Well, thank you so much, Megan. You just crushed that and was really awesome. I know you were like nervous about it, but you wouldn't even know. That was incredible. So yeah, seriously, so good. If you guys have any questions, of course, like you can reach out to Megan or post in the team page. And, if anyone's watching the recording and you're new and have questions, we're all here for you. And I'll get this recording up. I still need to get the one up from last week because it got lost on my computer and I found it. So I will get both of them uploaded tomorrow and get working on everything else. But we appreciate you guys getting on. Thank you for being here with us tonight. We survived. Nick on daddy duty. We made it through our first official team call. So that's exciting. But if you want to, I'll stop.